Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us. The national consultation for the transforming of education is happening, and I want to encourage you guys to pay attention to it. This morning, we have joining us the Acting Director of the Educational Planning Division, Dr. Peter Smith. Good morning to you, Dr. Smith.
Good morning to you and your host and your listening and viewing audience.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, back in 2020, I believe, there was an education consultation that took place about transforming education. What did you guys find in these national consultations that happened?
Well, in terms of the major findings, what we discovered was that there was a call for a more equitable system of education. There was a need among our various stakeholders to develop a clear policy for students as they transition from early childhood all the way to the world of work. There was also a need to prioritize funding for many of our schools. And as we know, the pandemic would have placed us in a context where we had to embark upon hybrid learning so that the inclusion of digital or 21st century skills was also another major finding, as well as the need to develop an assessment framework so that we can be better informed as to the learning outcomes our students are achieving.
Now, in all of these findings that you guys have found, have you been able to start
Yes.
the implementation process into any of them? Or what is the next step after these findings?
Well, we have been able to study implementation. So, for instance, the national public would be aware of the Prime Minister's initiative to form that committee to review SEA, the Concordat, and the transition to secondary school. And at the same time, we have continued with a second phase of the consultation at this time.
All right, tell me the purpose of the second phase of consultation. What do you guys hope to achieve with the second phase?
Right. So our aim at this time is to really narrow in on those key areas that our stakeholders would have identified. And if you would permit me, I can go through those 8 areas that we are looking to target this time around. There is TVET revitalization, where we want to focus on things like entrepreneurship throughout the school system. Of course, curriculum reform, a very key area, because as you know, the type of skills required for the 21st century are different from what previously obtained. Thirdly, we are looking at the whole issue of digital transformation, e-testing, e-book platforms, and such are on the horizon as we go forward. Fourth, we are looking at the amendment to the Education Act. And that is very important because it is that act which governs the education system. And of course, equity in quality education. We really want to ensure that all our students have access to the best available education. And then there is the whole need to ensure that transition from ECCE to primary, secondary, as well as tertiary, and even to the world of work. So we are going all out to ensure that that transition phase is taken care of properly. And of course, enabling student success, where our aim is to focus on those students who are vulnerable, those who are at risk of not achieving their full potential. And with all of that, there is one major area that we also intend to target, and that is the whole issue of human resource development. So it's 8 areas we are targeting as we go forward in this phase of the much anticipated consultation.
Okay. So these things that you pointed out just now is just the main focus for the consultations, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, they are.
this is I think it's very interesting because of course we're going into the future. We realize how much has changed inside this pandemic and how much some of these things are crucial to going forward. I mean, the one that sticks out to me a lot is the first one you mentioned about entrepreneurship. Because I've seen lots of students come out of university after learning about, you know, the things that they need to do to become an entrepreneur. And then they come into the real world and realize that it doesn't always work the theoretical way. For example, things like finding capital becomes a problem. How do we treat with expectations going forward?
Well, as we indicated, one of the things we want to do is to bridge that gap between what takes place in the classroom and what takes place in the real world. And as you rightly indicated, very often they are well prepared in the classroom, but when they go out into the world of work, that transition. And so the aim, therefore, would be to ensure that while students are at school, whether it be at primary or secondary, that we start to infuse those elements of entrepreneurship in terms of the projects that they would be required to do so that that transition from school to work is not as difficult as it normally is.
All right, tell me, who are some of these the stakeholders that we expect to participate in these consultations? Who can participate?
Well, in the first instance, the consultation is open to the general public, and we really would want the public to participate. But other than the public, we have a wide range of stakeholders. We have the Tobago House of Assembly, tutor, the teachers bargaining body, the various universities. And that's important because if we are talking about moving from ECC all the way up to tertiary, we want to ensure that our tertiary level providers are on board. So UE, UTT, CUSTAT, USC are among our stakeholders. Of course, parents in terms of the National Parent Teachers Association, as well as the various principal organizations, such as the Primary School Principals Association, the Public Secondary Schools Association, and the Association of Private Secondary Schools. So it's very inclusive, added to which, remember we spoke about entrepreneurship and that TVET area. And so what we also want to encourage, or what we are also trying to develop, is that linkage with those TVET providers. So MIC, YTEP, NESC are also among our key stakeholders going forward at this time.
All right, Dr. Smith, before we wrap, just tell me quickly when and how can people be a part of these consultations? Tell me how they can access to be a part of it.
Right. So we have made available several opportunities for persons to participate. We have that WhatsApp message, 868 776 0440. Then there's a social media pages that one can log into. There's the MOE website, and then there's the email account, national.consultations@moe.gov.tt.
All right. Well, Dr. Smith, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing this information. And we'll definitely be checking in with you guys to see how the consultations go. They're running until when?
Until February 9th.
Okay. And it starts today, yeah?
It starts today. Definitely starts today.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Peter Smith.
You're most welcome, and do enjoy your day.
You as well. Take care. That's Dr. Peter Smith, the Acting Director of the Educational Planning Division in the Ministry of Education. And guys, if you want to be a part of the National Consultation for Transforming Education, you could simply send a WhatsApp message to 7760440, or you can check them out at the Ministry of Education's website. You can get all the information and you can contribute to the information. You can also email them at national.consultations@moe.gov.tt. We take a quick break, and when we come back, We have some brand new music from the Swap Don himself. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great time.